So watch me transform this beauty from start to finish. If this is what you'd like to see, keep on watching. So please do not forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. So first and first, I'm going to be cleaning up the face in order to remove dirt and oil on the face. Then I went ahead to hydrate the skin with my Kiss Beauty Spray to give the skin a little bit of hydration. After hydrating it, I'm going to be using my fan to let it absorb into the skin. After that, I'm going to be moisturizing the face with my Cetaphil moisturizer. You can use any moisturizer of your choice, but it's important to moisturize your skin whether you have oily or dry skin. And as a lady, it's very good to have a moisturizer in your skincare routine. So after moisturizing the skin, I'm going to be using this Kiss Beauty Foundation Primer. This is going to give the makeup a very good base to sit on. So after that, I'm going to let it dry a little before I went ahead with this Gentle Dove mattifying primer. I'm going to be applying this primer on her T-zone area, which is the oily areas on her face. So this primer here is going to prevent oil from coming out. So if your skin is oily, you need a mattifying primer just to avoid oil from coming out. After that, I'm going to let it dry. After drying it, I'm going to be locking it up with my spray. This would help to lock in the skin prep. Then moving on to foundation, I'm going to be using this L'Oreal foundation in the shade C6. I'm using my flat brush to apply it all over the face. After that, I'm going to be using my spray for easy blending. You need to spray. After spraying, I'm going to be using my damp beauty sponge to blend the foundation into the skin. So after blending in the foundation, next is to contour the face. I'm going to be using this Zikel foundation in the shade 020 to contour the face. And if you're contouring the face, it's best to use a shade that is 2 to 3 shades darker than the skin to contour the face. So after contouring the face, moving on to cream blush, I'm going to be using this shade from my Blossom lip palette and apply it above her cheekbone and a little bit on the tip of her nose. Then I went ahead using my beauty sponge to blend. So after that, I'm going to be highlighting the face. I'm going to be using my Flawless Ivy concealer in the shade 407 to highlight the face. So if you want to highlight your face, it's best to use a concealer that is 2 to 3 shades lighter than the skin to highlight the face. So after that, I'm going to be using my beauty sponge to blend the concealer on the highlighted area. So while blending in your concealer, don't be too hard on the skin, blend gently so that everything will sit well into the skin. If you're hard on the skin, the beauty sponge is going to take all the concealer, so it's best you blend gently and make sure you blend properly. Don't blend and leave any traces. So after blending in the concealer, next is to contour the nose. I'm going to be using the same shade I used to contour the face to contour the nose. So I used the flat brush to apply the contour shade first before using my beauty sponge to blend to avoid any harsh lines. So after blending, next is to set the face with my Merak setting powder in the shade Cinnamon. But before setting, I went back using my beauty sponge to blend the areas underneath the eyes to avoid creasing After that, I'm going to be setting the concealer with my setting powder. So I'm going to be using my beauty sponge to set. So when I take my setting powder, I always like to dust it off so that it won't be too much when I apply it on the face. So take it, dust it off before you set. And while you're setting, do not pack too much setting powder. Set it gradually and make sure you set properly. So after setting the concealer, I'm going to be setting the rest of her face. I'm going to be using this shade from my Becharm powder palette to set the rest of the face. So if you want to set the rest of the face, it's best to use a shade that is your exact skin shade. Don't use a shade lighter or darker. Make sure the shade you're using matches with your skin tone. So after setting the rest of the face, I'm going to be doing my low light contouring, which is dry contour. I'm going to be using this super stay powder. I'm going to be using it to set the cream contour I applied earlier. So after contouring the face, I'm going to be contouring the nose with the same shade. So after that, I'm going to be applying a lighter shade of powder on the highlighted area just to give it more coverage. So moving on to powdery blush, I'm going to be using my Tara blush palette. I'm just going to take this shade here and apply it above her cheekbone and a little bit on the tip of her nose. So after that, I'm going to be using my powder brush to blend everything together. So after blending in, I'm going to be setting the face. This would help to reduce the powder effect and also help all the products that are applied sit properly into the skin. After setting, I'm going to be drying it up immediately. After drying, I'm going to be baking with the same setting powder I used to set the face to bake the face. So next, I'm going to be using my spoolie brush to brush her brows first. Then after that, I left the brows, went ahead to do the eyes. I'm going to be using my Venge eyeshadow base to prime her lid. It's either use an eyeshadow primer or a concealer to prime your lid. So it's very important to prime the lid before applying your eyeshadow if you really want your eyeshadow to pop and last. If you go ahead applying eyeshadow without any primer or without any base, your eyeshadow is not going to come out well. Then I added some setting powder underneath the eyes to avoid fallout from the eyes. Moving on to eyeshadow, I'm going to be using this shade here from this palette. This is focallure eyeshadow palette. I'm going to be using this shade as a transition shade. I started from the outer corner of her lid, then blended towards the inner corner of her lid. After that, I'm going to be doing the other eyes following the same method. So next, I'm going to be using this Stocky eyeshadow palette. I'm just going to take this shade here. This is a dark brown shade and apply it on the outer corner of her lid. Then gently blend it towards the inner corner of her lid. After that, I'm going to be doing the other eyes following the same method. So next, I'm going to be using my blending brush to blend the outer corner and also blend the crease properly so that everything will look well blended. So after that, I'm going to be using that brush I used to apply the eyeshadow base. I went back using the brush to blend the inner corner of her lid before applying the next eyeshadow. So I went back with that eyeshadow palette. I'm just going to take this shade here and apply it on the inner corner of her lid. So next I'm going to be adding this color here. So next I'm going to be using my eyeshadow blending brush to blend to avoid any demarcation. So next I'm going to be applying this on the inner corner of her lids. I'm just going to take my finger to place it. After that, I'm going to be using my eyeshadow blending brush to blend to avoid any harsh lines. So moving on to eyeliner, I'm going to be using my Karite gel liner to line her upper and lower lash line. So I already lined her lower lash line off camera because she was staring. I had to turn off the light. After that, I'm going to be using this Zaron mascara to prep her natural lashes in order to give it color. After that, I'm going to be wearing her this lashes from African Beauty lashes. So moving on to the brows, I'm going to be using my spoolie brush to brush her brows. Then I'm going to be using my Karite gel liner, the brown shade, on my angled brush to draw her brows. So I'm going to be outlining her brows with my angled brush, following the shape of her brow. So next is to highlight the brows. I'm going to be using the same concealer I used to highlight the face to highlight the brows. After that, I'm going to be using my eyeshadow blending brush to blend so that it doesn't get dry and look tacky. After blending, I'm going to be setting the concealer. I'm going to be setting it with this powder shade from the same powder palette. So after setting the concealer, I'm going to be blending it so there won't be any form of demarcation. Then next, I'm going to be doing the other brows following the same method. So after that, moving on to the lip, I'm going to be using this brown shade from my Blossom lip palette to outline her lip.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at
After that, I'm going to be using my brush to blend.
I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me
So next, I added this peach color in the middle just to brighten up the lip.
I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby I have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe.
So after that, I'm going to be adding some gloss on her lip.
I promise that I've never felt this way. I really hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain. I know you told your friend you're not okay.
So I went back applying more blush on her cheekbone. After that, I'm going to be dusting off the excess powder on her face. After dusting it off, I'm going to be setting the face with my Keys Beauty spray. After setting, I allowed it to dry. After drying, I'm going to be using this Yanga Beauty highlighter. I'm just going to apply it on the places I want the highlight to pop. After that, I'm going to be adding this Msmetic cheap glaze on the places I want the face to glow. Like this helps the face to glow. After that, I allowed it to sit into the skin before I went ahead to spray for the last time. After spraying, I'm going to let it dry into the skin. Then I tried to remove dirt from her eyes. After that, I'm going to be pressing her lashes. After pressing her lashes, I'm going to be sealing it up, sealing the makeup up with my So Pro Seal Spray. Then you guys, this is the finished look. After sealing it up, I'm going to let it absorb into the skin. Then guys, we're done. This is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, like, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all in my next video.
Things going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Got a buildup of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby I have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no you'll never be the same. I don't really want